Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Agricola Family Edition is just that. It's a family, toned-down version of Agricola. Now, this is not the kids' game. This is not like My First Stone Age or Ticket to Ride First Journey. This is a game for older kids. They've taken a lot of it, they've streamlined it, taken a lot out of it. You still have the animals, but it's very simplified, 1 point per animal. It doesn't kind of get more, you don't get negative points. The feeding comes about regular intervals. The game is very simple in how it's played. Now, I played this with my 9-year-old, and he struggled a little bit in the first round. Very frustrated. I was like, buddy, just put the pieces out. Let's have some fun. And by the second or third round, it clicked for him, and he was off to the race. Ended up in second place. If you like Agricola, I don't think you need to take this step back. Agricola has a watered-down version included in it. I think that's fine. But if you don't want all that stuff with it, and you want something just for the family, streamlined down, fits in this box, I think this will work for that. It's a worker placement game, has a lot of good decisions to make in it, and there's not a tremendous amount of luck. All of the card system of Agricola is gone. You still got some of the fireplaces, so it's more about where you're playing in this one. A little bit of luck, but really not a lot. It's the worker placement aspect of it. You're still building your houses. You're still adding in more family members. You're still planting things. Just one vegetable, just grain in this one. So the pumpkins and the rest are gone. You just have the one. It just simplifies, makes everything easier. The game is starting to look a little dated to me. The components are good. You get the animal meeples in this. And I think the real big, chunky people are fine. I just start to think that the browns and the greens are starting to look a little dated. Silk screening is becoming more what people are looking toward. This doesn't have that on it. And I just think it looks a little dated. Your mileage may vary, may not like that, but when you're playing with your family, bright colors do a little bit better. IPs are things that just kind of bring them in. You know, I would have liked to have seen this like a Farmville. I never played that game, but I'm aware that it exists, like a Facebook game or a mobile game. It was just something that would bring people in and say, hey, you know, this is a little bit easier. This is something you can bite your teeth in, and it has a better look to it. I don't want to pounce on it too much. It's a very nice production. It's just I don't know that your children are going to be overly amped to farm in this aspect. It's a very realistic setting. So for me, Agricola Family Edition works. I like it. It's that really good family edition where my kids need to work a little bit. They got to put in some effort into this game. But once they did, it worked pretty good. So I'm happy with it overall. If you already have Agricola, I don't know that you're going to need to get this unless, you know, it's a very specific purpose that you're going to want it for here. And then they graduate to the older one. But I know the older one has a simpler game in it. So maybe you go ahead and invest in that. But if you're like, I'm never going to play that really heavy version, then this will be just fine for you. It works well with 2, 3, or 4 players. For us, it's going to be a keeper, and I have the original Agricola also. Here's Agricola, and this is the family edition. This is going to be one for the younger people. You can see a fun aspect here of the guy, a little kid riding the pig and stuff. Very attractive. Now, what you're going to find in here is pretty much standard Agricola components. You're going to have your reeds, your woods, your bricks, your little cow meeples. These will come in here. Your pig meeples, which are all super duper cute. The people you'll be utilizing are these big wooden meeple farmers. You can see here they come in pink, yellow, blue, and green. Then the rest of the stuff are these big giant tiles where you have your pastures out. Everything is kind of a little bit simpler. Now, one thing that's also neat in here is you're going to have your normal board, and it will come out like this. And then depending on how many people you're going to utilize for the game, you'll have a different little board that we're here. So for like a 3-person game, you would just put this puzzle piece in, and it fits perfectly, and that's your board. And these are all the little sections. There is a road going through here, which will be the rounds, which visually is a little bit more appealing for kids. And I think it works beautifully. You have the little artwork on here where the sheep will go. They're going to go to corral. I really do like the little touches in this one. Components are good. About what you would expect for Agricola. Here's the rule book. You can see a picture of all of the components with pictures. Great. And it tells you a little bit about substitution markers and how that works. You're going to have a picture of setup. Everything's going to have arrows pointing to where they go. You'll have what the game is about and, of course, a play. This is the entire game right here. Then, of course, it's going to break it down. I like the little cartoon aspects of kind of give you tips and tricks as you go. Everything is very well organized. If you played Agricola before, there's a few changes here that you're going to need to know. But for the most part, it's going to flow pretty easily kind of compared to what you're used to. If you never played, I think this is a pretty darn good job. It's a little more complicated than a family game in game and scoring. It's not an easiest game. I think you're going to need older kids to play this one. My 9-year-old struggled a little bit at the beginning. Got super frustrated, but by round 2, he was off to the races and get him in second place. So I think it works. I would say probably 9 and above, but give that 9 a little breathing room. To set up the game, you're going to take the board. This will be all the main actions, and then you'll look and see how many people you're playing with. Let's say we're doing 3, and we'll set this down here. Each player is going to start out with their own room here with 2 people on it. You'll have 3 additional family members that'll be set aside. You don't have them yet. The first player will get the rooster. You're going to put the little turn marker out on the road on spot 1. And then you're going to have the spots with the arrows. We'll go ahead and get the items listed on it, and they'll be set there. Everybody will get a number of food, depending on where they are in turn order, and you're ready to play. The game is very easy to play. On your turn, you're going to put a person down on a spot and take that action. So if I wanted to go here, I would simply take the 2 brick, put it into my supply, and now nobody else can go to this spot because I've already taken it. Or if I had gone maybe somewhere like this, I could have got an additional place to play. I put that right beside this, doesn't matter where it goes, and now I have a place to plant things. So very easy. You put your worker out, you take the goodies on it into your supply, and then nobody else can take that spot. At the end of the round, everybody will take their workers back into their house. The round marker will continue down, and you'll refill every spot that has a yellow marker. If it already has something on it, you simply just add more to it. The places without an arrow, simply only take those items when you gain it. So what you're doing here is you're moving down this track each round. There'll be 14 rounds to the game. As you move down, these options above it become available. For example, for 5 wood and 2 reed, I can build an additional room onto my house. Building additional rooms on your house is super important for a couple of reasons. First one is that when we get down to this spot on the 5th round, we're able to get additional workers into our location as long as we have a room to put them in. So if I have 3 rooms, the max amount of people I can have is 3 without going back and building another room. More people simply give me more options and actions to take more things as the game progresses. The additional rooms also, if you were to go here, allow you to play 3 clay and 1 reed, and I can flip these over to the other side, flip over all of my rooms over, and now my rooms are worth 1 victory point per room that I have, as long as they're clay. As long as they're made out of wood, I do not get any victory points at the end of the game. Then I would use this slot from now on, which allows me to spend 3 clay and 1 reed to add another room on. But when I add another room on, I don't do the wood side, I do the clay side once I've upgraded. And now if I went back to this spot with a worker, I have an opportunity to get a 4th worker, and that gives me more actions. Actions are good in this game. The only downside to it is when you go across these cornucopia spots, there'll be certain spots when the turn marker goes through. So, for example, between rounds 4 and 5, we will harvest. Let me explain the sow action first. Whenever you put a worker here, and I have a grain already, I can put a grain here, and then I will immediately add 2 additional grain on top of it. The reason why I want to do that is because during the harvest, the first thing I'm going to do is take off the top grain, and it goes into my supply. So this basically gives me 2 free grain. I just got to wait for the harvest spots in order to be able to take them off. The second thing I would do is I will have to feed my people. You always have to feed 2 people per person I have. These are the food markers that you'll be utilizing. Now, normally I would have to give up these food markers as I'm able to gain them through the game. I can also eat any grain I have off to the side once it's come off. But there are also these fireplaces and ways, these buildings I can get to make my food more proficient for me. For example, if I was to build this, I would have to go to this spot right here. I would give up the 4 bricks, and then every time I wanted to spend a grain and a wood, I can get 5 food for that. There are other ones that you can buy. This one costs 4 bricks, and it allows me to take animals that I gain, and I can turn animals into food, or once again, I can take wheat and wood into food but it only gives me 3 food. So each of these will give you something a little bit different. And you can purchase these by going to this spot right here. So let's talk about animals a little bit. As you get wood, and wood will be what you'll be using to build fences to house your animals, you can go here to build additional fences. And you will have these different pastures that you can purchase. For example, this one costs 7 wood, but it houses 8 animals. This one's smaller, 3 wood, but only houses 2. So you can build these. See, I wanted to build this one. I can build this in here. It doesn't matter where it's go. And now I can put up to 2 animals in there. So if I have sheep, let's say through gameplay and rounds, this has 2 sheep on them. I can take these sheep and I can put them in my pastures and they can live there. So what's going to happen is during the harvest phase, after I take the grain off, each set, a mama and a papa, that is here, I can have 1 additional baby that I will gain for free. Now, this is full. It only has 2, can fit in there, but I can always put 1 in my house. There are places on the board where you can build stables. You can see them here. This one gives you a free stable, for example, and this will double capacity of any tile that's on. So, for example, if this one has a capacity of 2, if I had a stable on it, it would increase it to 4. If I didn't have a pasture, I could just set it out here, and it would house 1 person, kind of in my backyard. That's the third thing that you do on the harvest. So you always go get your grain, then you feed your people, and then you have babies from your animals if possible. At the end of 14 rounds, you will add up your points for your animals, your rooms, 3 points per person, and if you were able to obtain any of these buildings that will be located on certain spots on the board, you can purchase those when it becomes available. Sometimes they'll give you extra victory points at the bottom. The person with the most points is the winner, and that's how you play Agricola Family Edition. Who should buy this game? This is not a children's game. This is a family game. It clearly says it on the box. This is something you're going to sit down and play with your family. But I think 9, 10 would be the minimum I'd go with it. Like I said, my 9-year-old struggled a little bit, but he's able to pick it up. But he's the gamer of my children, so I think he was able to pick it up a little bit quicker. But my 11-year-old had no problems with it. But I think that's about the 4 that I would get in and say, hey, this is what family is. So it's like an older family that they'll be able to pick up and play this. And for a lot of people, this is all they're going to need. They're not going to want to graduate to the other Agricola with all the other stuff going on, or Caverna or whatever. This will be in their wheelhouse. This could be also for gamers who don't like heavy Euros and want a mid-size Euro or something a little bit lighter than Agricola. It's a little too much for them. Scale it back a little bit. I think this is going to appeal to them a lot. I would have liked more like cartoony or more pleasing, family-oriented artwork and colors utilized on it. I think it would have sold better. It really comes off as Agricola Light, and I think it's a little bit better than that. So it's going to be a keeper for us, and when I would tell you, if you have a family or a lighter gamer, check this one out.